What is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we have a review of Portal and Avow via Profound Lore Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Portal is an Australian avant-garde death metal band that have largely helped to pioneer a much more atmospheric and foreboding niche in the genre. Fusing elements of death doom, black metal, and a very chaotic breed of technical death metal, albums like Outre and Vexovoid have helped to inspire a new wave of haunting spirals into the abyss. Avow is the band's sixth album following 2018's Ion, and another one that came with strong anticipation as a fan of many years. So how does it stack up? Beginning with the first single, it seemed likely that Portal was diving once more headlong into the more plodding, atmospheric elements of their sound. While the blast beats are still present, gone is any semblance of a hook. And while of course Portal have never been much of a riff-driven band to begin with, both Vexovoid and Ion still managed to have enough memorable moments on the guitar to make I feel more bleak and devoid in comparison. Aside from some of the faster moments, this feels like a pretty standard Death Doom track to me, though still one with that trademark swarming insect sound. Makes me think of those bugs from The Mummy scraping every last piece of flesh from the bone. I have similar notes for opening track Kettle of Falc, which at just over 11 minutes is the longest on the album. Another lengthy, doomy slog into the infinite. I will say that the guitars on this one have a little bit more of an alien quality to them, one that would be a fitting backdrop to a black and white 50s era sci-fi film with the spinning of the flying saucers and scenes of hapless citizens being beamed against their will, syncing up to the eerie noise of the ascending tremolo picking. Ed Wood, eat your heart out.
This is the one I'll be remembered for.
My personal favorite track right now, though, is actually the shortest one, Offune. This feels like it would have been right at home on Vexovoid with a little more focus on texturing and dynamics. It has these subtle, high-pitched backing guitars that seem to burrow straight into your brain. Then they kick into this staccato start-stop thing, each part punctuated by a perfectly timed cymbal strike. Around 1 minute and 20 seconds, I was picturing them as snarling, otherworldly beasts snapping right at your heels. Once more, I was reminded of the scene from In the Mouth of Madness, where Sam Neill is running from the unsettling and always obscured Lovecraftian monsters. Manner of Speaking also has an interesting intro with its isolated, warbly guitar sounding like a distorted radio signal. It lulls you into this dulled, hypnotic state that makes the sudden explosion of blast beats all the more jarring. Lots of similarities here to moments on the latest Alterage record over another lengthy runtime, and maybe even some mild parallels to Vexovoid's Curtain. And then the outro is truly chilling with its quiet, warbly riffs and distorted soundscapes of what sound like tormented cries. This transitions nicely into the pure menace of Bode, which really takes its time building an expansive, droning atmosphere alongside the ever-pounding drums. The vocals don't kick in until after the 3-minute mark, and even then, it's a very sparing, minimalist set of howls that perfectly complement the harrowing aesthetic. And then finally, after another bleak intro, we close with the aptly titled Drain. On an album like this, I would have expected something like Bode to be the big closer, but instead we take things back to the shorter, more concise side of their sound with this soul sucker of a track. Much like Offune, it sports a lot of different textures over its duration, from slinking serpent to pure bloodthirst. The transition to the final third sounds like a swaying door on rusty hinges, with each swing offering a brief glimpse into the horrors of the void. Pounding floor toms signal the end, and then silence. I'll admit, while I have mixed feelings about Avow as a whole, it makes for perhaps the most chilling conclusion of any of their albums yet. To sum up, I would argue that Portal find themselves here leaning much more heavily into the doom elements of their sound than they have in a long time. As a result, I have a feeling that reactions will be split. Those who really enjoy death doom and some of the earlier albums like Outre will likely enjoy the increased focus on abstraction and overall experience. But others like myself who enjoy the more flavorful focus of Vexovoid on weird riffs and standout moments may find themselves a little let down. So turning to my scales, I give Avow an 8 for enjoyability. Like I said, I'm not personally hearing as much of the re-listenability factor of past albums, at least for my taste. This feels more like a put it on in the background record, even if it's still an above average one in that vein. I give it an 8 for musicianship. Related to that last point, there just aren't as many of those oh shit moments of instrumentation. Everything is relatively uniform and only deviates from the baseline on occasion. The result, while again still above average, doesn't necessarily feel worthy of extra recognition in this territory. And I give it an 8 for innovation. Even though this doesn't show much growth or deviation from previous material, given that Portal largely helped forge this sound to begin with, I still argue they deserve that extra point for doing death metal on a different plane than most other bands. So a flat 8 overall and a B- for Portal and Avow. I could maybe bump it up to a flat B, but in any case, get it once more via Profound Lore Records. But if you enjoy Portal and this sound overall, I highly recommend checking out my review of the latest Alterage album, and also checking out Abyssal and Malthusian for even more haunting, deeply atmospheric death metal. Also check out my Portal album tier list to hear my thoughts on the full discography, and my best death metal of 2021 so far list. And just stick around in general and subscribe for more daily videos. Drop a like and a comment if you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what is your favorite Portal album. Chat with me on Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.